Jim Harbaugh makes his much-awaited return to the NFL this week as the Los Angeles Chargers take on the Las Vegas Raiders. Justin Herbert's coming back healthy. Gardner Minshew now is taking Minshew Mania to Las Vegas. It's going to be a phenomenal AFC West matchup here, and we're going to break down all the matchups and give our predictions at the very end of the video. But before we do that, if you have not already, go out and help out the channel by liking this video. Leave a comment. Let us know who you think is going to win this game. And while you're at it, subscribe to the Tracy Take and help us reach our goal of 4,000 subscribers by the end of the calendar year. Ryan, how much of an impact do you think Jim Harbaugh is going to have on this Chargers team compared to, I guess, Brandon Staley?
I think it'll be a much more positive impact, that's for sure.
It can't get much worse.
Yeah. So I think all in all, it might take a little while for him to really be able to implement his system. So I don't know how much of an impact right away he will have. The one thing I do know is like they're not going to make stupid decisions late in games anymore. Like they're going to be controlled, aggressive, and be willing to punt on fourth down in and around the 40. So I just think he is a much better game manager than Brandon Staley ever was. So that I think is definitely going to be a big improvement. They still have Justin Herbert. They went out. This offensive line got a new tackle in Joe Alt in the draft, and they still have Rashawn Slater. And I believe Corey Linsley is their center. No, Bradley Bozeman. I think that offensive line should be good. I do like the Ladd McConkey pick. I still think they lack a true number one wide receiver in that room. But you look, Quentin Johnson, DJ Chark, Joshua Palmer, Ladd McConkey, like Darius Davis had a decent year last year. They have Brendan Rice on the roster as well. So I think all of those guys are interesting players. No like alpha or like coverage dictator. And even in the tight end room, Will Dissly, Hayden Hurst, nobody there that like is a real big name either. So
it's not even not be the best comparison, but it's almost with like this offense kind of setup right now reminds me maybe a little bit of the Lions setup, like as they were rebuilding. As Ladd McConkey's kind of that Amon-Ra St. Brown. So you're building that offensive line, which I say that Lions were building their offensive line. Chargers, I think, have a good offensive line when healthy. And so now they have Rashawn Slater, Joe Alt as their two tackles. And so I think I do believe that I think the Chargers are going to make hopefully less bonehead decisions. There's a potential, I think, for this team to potentially be a wild card spot here. I think it's going to be tough for them to win the division. I don't even think they're the second best team in the division. We'll break that down here in a second. But there's a potential they could fight for a wild card spot because they had 6 games last year that they lost within one score, and a lot of those were also thanks to just horrible coaching decisions as well. So it was time for a change. I think on the flip side, too, getting Gardner Minshew for the Las Vegas Raiders, how do you think how do you think that's going to impact this offense overall when it comes to – do you think they could be more explosive? Do you think they'll just be more consistent, combination of both?
I think more consistent. I don't know about more explosive because I don't know what like explosive element he really brings to the table. If anything, I thought Aiden O'Connell might be more explosive. But I think consistency-wise, you look at what that offense is going to want to do. Jacoby Myers, Davante Adams, Brock Bowers, Michael Mayer, 3 out of the 4 of those guys really win over the middle. And I think Gardner Minshew is going to be a better quarterback at finding the holes in zones and hitting guys in stride over Aiden O'Connell in that or in that matchup. And that's those names I just listed off. Those are some fantastic receivers, especially Trey Harris as the 3rd wide receiver, and then DJ Turner and as well. I think that is an underrated wide receiver room, and I like it. This offensive line, I think, should be pretty good. Left tackle is Colton Miller. They did lose Jermaine Illuminor last year, but from last year, I still think this offensive line should be good. This running back room, I am a little concerned about. They don't really they got Alexander Madison. They'll probably be pretty similar to where Minnesota was last year in their with their running backs and in that total running game. But I think pass protection, this offensive line should be okay. And then defensively, I mean, this is just going to be a monster defense. Look, Christian Wilkins in the middle, Maxx Crosby, Malcolm Kuntz, Like they have Tyree Wilson, who was a first round pick in 2023, been a little bit of a bust so far, but still, like we'll see if he can turn anything. Robert Spillane had a great year last year, so I really like this defense and what they can bring to the table here for the Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah, it's going to be a fascinating game. We'll continue to break down the matchups here, but let's quickly kind of take a look at what the betting odds are saying as of the recording of this video here. And so if you'd like to put a couple bucks down on the game, especially too if you're a Vegas fan and you live in Las Vegas, check out BetUS in the description box below. They have a bunch of great promotions going on right now for first-time players here, and a lot of fun odds as well, including the odds we're looking at right now as of the recording of this video. So they actually do have the Chargers 3-point favorites going into this game with the over-under at 41. I will say, I think the over-under, I think it could be a little bit higher, might be a little bit higher come game time. I could see some explosive plays coming out of this Raiders team. Week 1, just coming up against this, like Davante Adams going up against this Chargers defense as well. But also at the same time, too, I think it's going to be the X factor to me kind of going into this is just how each offensive line handles the defensive front. You've already mentioned as well with how explosive that Raiders defensive line is. I will say, too, I think Verdict's definitely still out on Tyree Wilson. I think he's still behind Maxx Crosby, and then they had another guy, Malcolm Kunis, they added on Christian Wilkins. So I think there's still some opportunity for him to kind of keep developing. But on the flip side, though, too, with the Chargers, you still have Joey Bosa, you still have Khalil Mack. And I think actually, too, they were 7th in the league last year in defensive sacks. So with 48 total. And the Raiders actually were only 15th with 46. So there's only a two sack difference. So they were essentially pretty much had about the same amount of sack total between the team. And Raiders only allowed 13. Were 13th last year in sacks allowed, so 40 overall. While the Chargers were 20th overall, but only 3 sacks more at 43. So pretty consistent overall in the trenches. So I think that's going to be the matchup to watch here because both teams don't really have a great running back room. Jameer White's leading the Las Vegas Raiders, and Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins, I think, are going to be doing kind of a split back carry. Both are solid running backs. I think they'll be definitely doing a running back by committee. I hope both guys can stay healthy because both are just phenomenal players, but have been dealing with some injury histories. So just can they be the guys that, we all hope that they can be? Can Jameer White step up and be the guy? They'll be doing a running back by committee as well because they have Alexander Madison also, and Amir Abdullah is still there as well. So the Raiders definitely have the edge in the pass catching department, absolutely. But outside of that, though, teams are pretty even outside of the quarterback position as well. Justin Herbert's significantly better quarterback. I think that the teams are pretty even actually in the other areas as well when it comes to defensive side of the ball, like the defensive front seven, and then also as well with the when it comes to the running game as well. So that's what's going to make this matchup extremely interesting. It is in Los Angeles, so that means it's a home game for the Las Vegas Raiders. It's going to be a bunch of Raiders fans that are at the Chargers game. It's kind of sad to see because SoFi looks like such a beautiful stadium, but it's always an away game for the home team there. But I think coming into the predictions here now, I will say I'm actually going to go out probably on a limb here. And because it's weird that I honestly would have thought the Chargers would have been the underdogs coming into this game, but I was going to pick them anyways, being at home, Jim Harbaugh's first game. I think that they're going to find maybe a little bit of magic here. Gardner Minshew's going to take a little bit of time to kind of get used to his this new team here. I think they're going to have a lot of clock management from the Chargers side of the ball. I think they're going to come out victorious in this one in a low-scoring game, 2017.
Okay. I'm actually going to go with the Raiders here. I think this defense is going to be just maybe a little too much to handle at first. I think it will be a lower scoring game because I do think both of these teams' defenses are going to be dominant. I don't say dominant, but I just think the Raiders come in with the better wide receiver room, the better defense, and I just think that they are going to be the more talented team here.
I like it. It's such a tough game. It's going to be such a pick 'em. I feel for this game. I know it's a 3-point spread, and I will say I'm kind of shocked that they have the Chargers being the favorite actually, and so because I honestly would have thought I was going to be taking the underdog. there. But I think the Chargers just Jim Harbaugh's first game. I think there's still a lot more to this team. I will say, because they were dealing with a bunch of injuries last year, and they still were kind of just barely losing those games when Justin Herbert was still in play with horrible coaching decisions as well. So I think that's just going to be that extra boost that they get. But this Raiders team is no joke. I think that they're at the end of the season probably more than likely going to be the second ranked team in the AFC West.
Yeah. So we disagree on this one. You're taking the Chargers. I'm taking the Raiders. Let's go ahead and wrap this episode up. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below on who you think is going to come out ahead in this matchup. Will it be the Las Vegas Raiders? Will it be the Los Angeles Chargers? Knowing that, we will see you guys next time.